What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blueblood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, everybody's taking with undefeated, 3-belt, unified, welterweight, world champion, WBC, WBA, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Errol the True Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. has 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence obviously is linked to the biggest fight currently in the sport of boxing today between himself and what has morphed into his biggest rival in undefeated three division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford is 38 wins, no losses, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout, 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, so Terence Crawford is widely viewed as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Errol Spence, #2, if not the #1. Some people say he's now surpassed Terence Crawford in that department. And so it makes for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, for undisputed on top of that, right? So the stakes got higher because now it's for undisputed. It's not just for bragging rights, but it's for undisputed on top of it, right? And so with that said, Errol Spence, he defeated former WBA welterweight world champion, Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, April 16th, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium, via 10th round stoppage victory, in which he broke Yordenis Ugas' ribs, nose, and orbital bone, right? And picked up the WBA strap. Terence Crawford, he last fought November 20th of 2021 against two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, future Hall of Famer, who is retired, in Showtime Shawn Porter, okay, in which he got a 10th round stoppage victory over Shawn Porter, okay. So both guys got 10th round stoppage victories in their last fight over their respective of opponents, okay. And so with that said, after Errol Spence's fight, Errol Spence, he stated that he's chasing Terence Crawford's belt, right? He's chasing Terence Crawford, and he's chasing that, that WBO title, right? And so he said that I'm coming after Terence Crawford. I want your stuff. I'm paraphrasing, used other words to describe it, but he let it be known that he's definitely pursuing Terence Crawford in that WBO title. And he also put up a post where he was shopping in the supermarket, and he had a checklist, and it had, I had Kell Brook on the checklist, which he picked up the IBF strap. It had Shawn Porter, which he picked up the WBC strap, and it had Yordenis Ugas' name on it, which he picked up the WBA strap, right? So Shawn Porter WBC, Yordenis Ugas WBA, and then he had Terence Crawford name on there with the WBO belt, right? And then we know he had the shirt made, with the Grim Reaper as the big fish, as he refers to himself, knocking on everybody's door, picking up the belts, collecting all the belts. And he had, Terence Crawford, he was knocking on Terence Crawford's door. It was the last door, to collect that belt, right? And so with that said, he's made it abundantly clear that that's the fight he wants. Everybody's waiting, eagerly anticipating and waiting for this fight to be announced, okay? And with that said, there's going back and forth, and Terence Crawford was recently on Porterweight podcast with Shawn Porter, stating that Errol Spence has become his biggest rival. He can't go nowhere, he can't post anything without people asking him about the fight with Errol Spence. Well, Errol Spence, he then puts up a post, and he says, "There's nothing better than breaking a man's will, forcing a man essentially to quit when he's trying his best to weather the storm and trying not to quit. Is nothing better than forcing that man to quit toe to toe." and breaking him down, right? And so obviously everybody got excited and they felt like he's alluding to Terence Crawford, obviously, right? But, you know, he just recently did it against Yordenis Ugas. He broke Yordenis Ugas literally, physically, right? He broke his nose, orbital bone, and ribs, right? And got a 10th round stoppage, right? He did the same thing when he fought against Kell Brook, Special K, former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer in the UK in 2017 for his first title opportunity. He stopped Kell Brook in 11th round. You know, he stopped former world champion, superstar, retired boxer Lamont Peterson. He stopped Chris Algieri, former world champion, right? So, you know, and he, you know, these are brutal physical fights that he had with Lamont Peterson, Kell Brook, Chris Algieri, and Yordenis Ugas, right? And, you know, when he came face to face with Terence Crawford, he told Terence Crawford, you know, you too small. You just too small. You too light, right? You too small, right? I'm gonna stop you, right? And Terence Crawford, you know, obviously 10 of his last 11 fights, he has stoppages and knockouts, right? He stopped 10 out of the last 11 of his opponents via stoppage or knockout, right? And Terence Crawford is versatile. Terence Crawford has power in both hands. He fights southpaw orthodox. I personally feel like, you know, Terence Crawford is not as versatile and elusive. I don't want to say versatile, right? He's not as elusive in the orthodox stance as he once was. You know, in the southpaw stance, he's still very, very elusive. He great timing, counter punchability, you know, and he could put on an absolute show in the southpaw stance, and he gets you out of there in the southpaw stance. When he's in the orthodox stance, he gets hit a lot more than he used to. When he fought against Victor Postol, he put on a dazzling performance against Victor Postol, dropping Victor Postol and unifying the belts. You know, he dropped Sean Porter twice, you know, but when he's in an orthodox stance against Victor Postol, against Igis Kavalauskas, you know, there's a clear difference. When you see him in the Victor Postol fight and the Igis Kavalauskas fight, now it could be a respect factor. When you see Terence Crawford against Igis Kavalauskas, the respect and the, you know, the level of opponent is different, right? When he respect, I believe, Victor Postol much more than he did, you know, Igis Kavalauskas, and that could be a huge reason why, you know, he gets hit more, because he just don't respect his opponents as much as you would think he would respect them, you know what I mean? But then you look at his fight with, you know, Sean Porter when he was in the orthodox stance. Now, Sean Porter's the best opponent he's faced. When he's in the orthodox stance, he got touched a lot. You know, when he was in the orthodox stance against Kell Brook, he got touched a lot, right? In these fights, he gets touched a lot when he's in the orthodox stance. He switched to southpaw. Before he used to switch to southpaw, I thought, to confuse his opponents, right? Right now, that's not the case. He don't switch to southpaw to confuse his opponents. He switched to southpaw to give himself an advantage, to give himself the best chance to be victorious. Before, it didn't matter what stance. He was just looking to confuse you and, you know, get you off your square and get you off your game. And then, you know, he take advantage and close the show. He's definitely a closer. Today's time, he's going to win his fight in the southpaw stance. Now, Errol Spence is a natural big southpaw, so that's what makes it so interesting. Usually southpaws don't like to fight southpaws, right? It's uncomfortable for a southpaw to fight a southpaw, just like it is an orthodox fighter to fight a southpaw. The advantage is taken away. And so, you know, the physicality of Errol Spence, you know, is going to be interesting to see how Terence Crawford deals with that. But it's also, in the flip side of that, it's going to be interesting to see how Errol Spence deal with the versatility, the timing, and the counterpunchability of Terence Crawford. That's what's going to be truly, truly interesting, because Terence Crawford has great timing. Terence Crawford is a great counterpuncher, but he has power in both hands. So it doesn't matter, you know, which hand he lands with. He got power in both hands. So that plays a major, major part, you know, in him hurting his opponents. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's going to be interesting. Errol Spence gets hit on the way in. he gets touched on the way in. Though Errol Spence, you know, as he alluded to, well, we already know he stated that Terence Crawford is too small, right? He feel like he too small, then, you know, clearly he feel like he gonna break Terence Crawford will and break Terence Crawford down. This is why it's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. This is why it's so interesting. And this is why I can't wait, along with many other pundits and media members and fans of the sport of boxing, to see this fight. Is Errol Spence referring to Terence Crawford? Is that a message towards Terence Crawford? We got to see. But that's all I got for y'all. I can't wait to see it. Let me know what y'all think. Drop a comment in the comment section. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Road. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.